I remember the day when the Rodney King verdict came down. I was working at the Fox Hills Mall in Culver City. The mall was already emptier than usual. People were jittery, stores had TVs on, and there was this quiet tension, like something was about to drop. Then I heard someone from one of the shops yell, "Damn, they got off, not guilty." I looked around and the faces said it all. Nobody needed to explain anything. 3 hours later, my shift ended. I walked out to my car and got on the 405 freeway. I've lived in Los Angeles a long time, and I've never seen the freeways like that. No traffic, like none. But the few cars that I did see, like high-end cars like Mercedes, BMWs, Porsches, blowing past me like they were escaping something. Then for a second, I couldn't think of what they were running from. And I knew something wasn't quite right. Then I got home, turned on the news, and then everything made sense. LA was in a riot. Fires, looting, helicopters in the sky. There was the moment. The city was breaking open. You see, I was living in a beach city at the time, so I wasn't experiencing what was happening downtown. So the next morning, I went back to work thinking maybe I could just keep things moving. But when I got to the mall, it was surrounded. Armed troops in fatigues. California National Guard. They weren't there just for show. They had serious weapons. M16s standing in position, blocking every way in. And they weren't letting anybody through. So basically, I just took my ass home and waited for the smoke to clear. And now here we are again. Decades later, another round of troops in the streets. Only this time, it's not about a verdict. And it's not the governor calling the shots. It's our president directly. National Guard deployed without California's approval. This hasn't happened since the Civil Rights Movement, when federal troops were sent in to protect peaceful protesters. Martin Luther King time. This time, the intent seems different. And I'm not saying it's exactly the same situation, but it's hard not to notice the patterns. Moments of unrest being met with force. Visuals designed to send a message. And the uncomfortable feeling that maybe the performance matters more than the solution. Yes, immigration enforcement is a legal process. Nobody's arguing that laws shouldn't be followed. But when you start seeing armored vehicles, tear gas, and riot gear, who's this really for? Who benefits from turning enforcement into a media spectacle? Because if it was just about rounding people up quietly, I think they'd do it quietly. But it's not. It's loud. It's visual. It's intentional. LA isn't just a city, it's a symbol. A multicultural, immigrant-rich, proudly liberal stronghold. That's why, in my personal opinion, this show of force is happening there, rather in some small town where nobody would see it. This is about optics, about power, about reminding people who's in control. And when the visuals start to mirror military occupation more than civil process, we're not just dealing with policy, we're dealing with messaging. It says, we don't need your permission. We don't care about your protests. We're sending the military anyway. And this message echoes louder than any press release ever could. We've actually seen this before. 1965, Selma. Lyndon Johnson sending troops to protect marchers across the Edmund Pettus Bridge. That was a federal power used to protect rights. But today, the same kind of power is being used to shut people down. We've completely flipped the script. And if you don't acknowledge that, we've missed the point entirely. These moments aren't isolated. They're part of a pattern. When there's unrest, the response isn't compassion. It's control. When there's protests, the answer isn't policy, it's power. And when a city like LA becomes the stage, the whole nation is the audience. So while we're watching rubber bullets fly and the headlines spin, we've got to ask ourselves this simple question. What are we being distracted from exactly? And maybe even more importantly, what kind of country are we becoming in the process? This isn't just a story about immigration. It's a story about how power performs, about who gets to feel safe and who gets to be put in check. And if we're not careful, if we let these moments pass without asking better questions, we'll wake up one day and realize that the rights we thought we were guaranteed only exist when they're convenient. And then it might be too late to push back.